have to, but something to think.
Let's get started with bucket fills and wins. I mean, it was a long weekend. In July, I saw lots of fun, like lake pictures.
I want to bucket for those road construction guys. They're everywhere. They're just.
You know, like I really appreciate them everywhere. I think I saw something like a meme or whatever that was like, be like Minnesota roads. Just don't ever stop improving yourself. And I was like, oh, that is like the best. The best like little self-help thing. I love that. What else? What else is good?
I'll look at Phil the Desurex for bringing in their flooring guys because now I have new bathroom floors in two of my bathrooms.
Yeah. And it was like quick, easy, painless, like
Easy. They were so great. They drove so far to check out our house and
so far.
great. So thank you.
Awesome. What else? What else is good?
I was at a party on Friday for the 4th, and 7 out of 10 people got norovirus, and I was not one of them. So yeah,
Out of 10?
yeah, vomiting, the sheets, it was terrible. So I escaped it. I feel pretty good about it.
You're like, this is a win. That's a pretty big win. That's a pretty big win.
I think we're good now.
That's awesome. That's
right.
Move over.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, what else? What else is good? Ooh, I'll share one of mine. I took out 12 garbage bags of crap out of my closet. Yes, that seems like a lot. And I was like getting stuff from like high school. I was like, when am I gonna wear this? It was great. And now I can see the floor in my closet and I have extra space for new stuff. It's awesome. I mean, the kids came home and they were like, you did this all day on the 4th? I was like, yeah, it was great. I feel so good. And don't put any of your stuff in my closet. So that was awesome. That was fun. All right, anything else? It's good to see John here.
Yeah, right.
Oh, John. All right, next. Okay. Boat cruise. The listing contest is over. If you're not on the list, let us know if you had a listing that was put in command before the 30th, but we do need your RSVPs for next week, actually, just so that we know how much food to order, and how many people are going to be there. So if you're on the list and you think that we just automatically believe that you're going to show up, is probably not accurate because you might even forget. So can you RSVP today?
Yeah, I sent it out yesterday. If you didn't get it, but you did have a listing, let me know. So
Okay, it's just a calendar invite.
it's like a Google form just so you have your name and
Okay, awesome. Any questions around that? Okay. Block party. So the next block party is Preem next week. And then we have profile on July 28th, and then we have August 11th and 25th still available. So if you know of any vendors or if you guys, like a team wants to sponsor it, let us know. Mega Camp, we are approaching this really, really quickly. They just announced, I think I said last week, 5 of the speakers are incredible. And it's the last time that's going to be in San Antonio because it's going to go back to Austin, I think, next year, right? And San Antonio is just a cool place to be anyways. A lot of people have inquired, my business is up, or I feel like this might be the right decision for me, or I'm kind of hee-hawing about it. If that's where you're at, sign up. Sign up and we'll make it happen. Like just sign up and because you should be there. Because the growth that comes from this and the ideas that you can get, will be incredible. And I think you guys can probably speak to that. Like, you're not going to regret going to Mega at any one time. So if you have any questions, let me know. And there's a fun group. We always go out to dinner and it's a good time. Might buy another cowboy hat or like cowboy boots. Who knows? All right. So we have the rookie real estate agent workshop coming up. So it's I think it's, what is it? 4-hour or 3-hour? A 4-hour workshop. And it's essentially kind of increasing your business. You don't have to be a brand new agent. If it's one where you're like, hey, I just want to kind of get back in and I want to, up my sales. This is something you should be at. If you know of an agent that is at another brokerage and is like kind of struggling right now, have them sign up for this. It's free. They don't have to pay anything for it. There is going to be a mega agent panel as part of it. So there'll be Q&As for agents that have been successful and how they built their business, as well as actual systems and things to learn from it. So again, it's written by our leaders, right? Because people have asked for it and some people just don't want to read the MREA. This is kind of a cheat sheet for that to kind of get you started and ramped up. So again, put in your calendar. It's 4 hours. It's going to be well worth it.
And we'll provide food.
And we'll provide food. Every time we provide food, people show up. So it's a good one. And honestly, if your business isn't struggling, but you just want to go back to the basics, show up. Because I think we all know that, you can get caught up and kind of forget some of the basics, even if you are crushing at your business. So any questions? Okay. ALC. So do I hear a motion to, and if you haven't ever been to an ALC meeting, it's the Agent Leadership Council. They go through their numbers. We go through the office numbers. And they just kind of open up their businesses for us so that you get to learn how they do business, where they're tracking, and hopefully learn some ahas from it. Do I hear a motion to start the July? Awesome. All right. Let's get started right with numbers. Who wants to start? And then say a little bit about your who like just a short like JDM Homes, how many agents, yada yada yada, what your numbers are pertaining to you or your team, just so that we know, because those questions usually come up.
Jacob Milton, JDM Homes is my team. I have 5 agents, 1 assistant. Some of the numbers are for, let's see, the dials, contacts, and appointments are mine, and then contracts, closings, and GCI are for my team. My goal for dials was 2,400. Quite a bit short on that with 1139. Contacts goes 240. A bit short 11. Appointments 20. Short at 19. Contracts goal 12. Surpassed that with 13. Closings 8. Right at that with 8. GCI goal 88,000. Short at 80,000. 899. And then touch short on profit.
Okay, so let's talk about dials was 24 and you got like 11, right? But your contacts was pretty close. I mean, it was short, but it wasn't that span. Was that just different kinds of dials, or were you just
follow-up calls?
Follow-up calls. Okay.
Higher contact
rate. Okay. Any questions for Jacob?
Did you say those were your team numbers or your numbers?
The dials, contacts, and appointments were mine. Contracts, closings, and GCI were for my team. And for me, all of us.
What would be an example of like a follow-up call
Somebody that I've talked to in the past,
that had showed some interest or asking for a refer
or just didn't show any interest. I'm just calling again,
calling them again? Got it.
just spoken to.
Just spoken to. Got it.
So I asked Jacob the other day, I was like, hey, what would you tell a new agent? I don't even know how I posed it or whatever. And you're like, just call. It's really not that hard. And I think coming from someone who doesn't make calls, sometimes you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. And you're like, easier said than done. I don't think there's been a month that you called less than 1,000 people in a month. Probably not. And I mean, I know you better, but I was like, I wouldn't say he's like this big extrovert that's just like, hey, hi, hey, how you doing? But he makes the calls and he follows the script and he obviously gets the appointments and he now is teaching his team that, right? So it's like, just pick the thing and make the calls. Cause I don't know, you said what, 10 minutes later, they have no idea who you are. 30 seconds later, you could call them back and you could be the exact same person. They're like, they have no idea who you are.
Like you call them the next day and they won't remember you, right?
Yeah. Anyways, make the calls. If that's your mode of lead gen. Did you have a question? Okay, who's next?
Bingo. So similar to Jacob, I'll report out on dials and contacts for myself. Numbers for the team. Dials fell super short. My goal is 1,200. According to our CRM, I only did 106. Contacts, my goal was at least 100. I think I'm around 50. Didn't report it very well, so somewhere in there. Our equipment goal was 20. We hit 17 contracts. So like that's new listings or new buyers signed. We had 15 closed units. Our goal was 12. We had 13. Our GCI goal, gross commission income goal, was 175,000. This scheme fell short at 106,000. Our P&L isn't done for June yet, but I believe it'll be profitable.
With, I guess for both of you, GCI going short, because you hit yours, was it commission based, like buyers versus listings? Was it price point, on that portion? Like falling short on the GCI, 'cause
We don't usually, I know one of our transactions, we ended up having to drop our commission just to get the deal done, but I'm pretty confident the rest of them just were full commission. Yeah, so I mean, probably just price point.
Any questions for Bethany?
Alrighty, let's see, so our.
He's really excited about these numbers, since I always give him crap on the other month.
And Alex said earlier today, so I'm very curious whose number is correct.
Oh, I know which one's correct, so.
It depends on how we track it, because some get closed out in a month, but we actually close them in a different month, right? Anyways, doesn't matter. Dials and reach outs and contacts are for myself, just like everyone else. Appointments, contracts, closed units, GCIs, team. Big picture for dials and reach outs is 20 a day, Monday through Friday for me. That's 20 new contacts or follow-ups. And the goal is to connect with 10 of them, 10 of the 20 on a daily basis, Monday through. Some days I might not do any, but then I'm doing 40 the next day, right? But that's the big picture there. Was able to meet that goal. A lot of it was just with nautical night, our boat party coming up. It's very easy to reach out to lots, which I did. I did more than what the month quota was. But we're having a lot of good conversations because of it. Anywho, appointments. The goal is 17 appointments per month. We only had 19. 9. Details. There wasn't a what in there. We had 9 appointments.
We only exceeded it.
We only did 19 of the 17.
It was a test. So yes, we are behind on appointments for the month of June. We were busy writing contracts. We had 17 that we did. Our goal is 14 and a half. Our goal for closed units is 13 per month, and we did 21/23, depending on. how we-
23, you actually closed out
We
23.
closed out 23,
last
we did,
month.
exactly.
Yes. Which I gave him crap, remember? Because I was like, ooh, what did I say? You were behind like 9 or
Right.
something like that?
Yes.
And they're actually now a month and a half ahead of goal after this month.
We weren't gonna let another month of that happen.
You were like, I'm not getting called out in front of everybody one more time.
So then we did hit our GCI goal for the month.
Is 23 transactions the most transactions you've ever done in a month?
It is, ever.
That's incredible. Nice job.
Yeah.
Nice
So,
job.
everyone.
Any questions for Ben? I have one question just because I have to ask the question since you were short on appointments.
Right.
What does the pipeline look like?
We got more work to do. I got more contacts to make to catch that up.
That wasn't the real answer to that question. What does the pipeline look like?
He sells 23 in a month.
It's like, yeah, well, right. Let's just talk about that inspection and we will get it together.
Pipeline is still pretty busy. We're still
Okay.
pretty solid.
Okay.
It is. But it can be busier, always.
Okay.
Of the 23 closings,
About 50/50.
what was the timeline? Were they ones that came and went quick, or ones that you were working on for a really long time that just happened to fall, all going in?
I'd say for the most part, it was I mean, 45-day closes on average. And some of them were quick and some of them were ones we've been working with for a year. So it's a whole span of it. Well, that's not helpful, but it's both.
And when he speaks of pipeline, you actually have all 11 closings already scheduled for July.
Correct.
And I think like 7 in August already.
Question. What is your team mindset right now? Is it hoping and praying for a little bit of a break, some reprieve, or are you guys trying to
Higher? Yeah, they are.
say, what do we have to do in order to maintain, maybe not 23 a month, right? But in an average of 12 or 15 a month, whatever you'd like to do. Like, what's your mindset on that? And what do you?
Oh, great question. I'd say our mindset in the last year or 2 years has shifted where we were very strong in listing a lot in even December and January. And kind of our goal for lifestyle is to maybe take a little bit more of that time off December and January. So we are intentionally trying to help promote people buying and selling in other months, which are also better months to be selling in as well. So we're trying to be busier in the busy months, hopefully a little quieter in the off season, have more family time.
On a side note, this is a good time to tell you there's a couple of really good listings in Marco right now.
All right, good to know.
Was that to like use the GCI to buy a place and
That'll help them in December and January. That's where they should be, so.
Nice, want to be. Never been
I'm like-
there yet.
no anybody in my building when I'm on vacation? Any other questions for Ben?
So you're advising seller clients instead of listing December, January to maybe wait till your spring,
Right.
or go on before. But like if their need is to go on, then of course we will add it now. And we used to put on a lot more in December, January, but we're kind of having experience of them not moving as fast.
But November and December historically were your largest months.
Right. Closing.
Like for closings,
closings,
right?
right.
So like, I mean, leading into even November and December, historically, your biggest month now is June. I mean, what are those months? I mean, you still have a big pipeline for that. So I'm like,
For a lot of those people, first time buyers. Yeah, I mean, that's our business too, like, in the winter, we still do a bunch of units, for all first time buyers.
buyers.
So for them, I mean, really.
Which is a great time to buy.
100% you get,
One of the best times.
yes. So, but I think that also makes me think, like, I love what you're saying about focusing and being intentional now so you can have more time later. And I think the other message though is that when people say, like, I'll even have sellers say, well, the market kind of dies in the winter, doesn't it? Not necessarily, you have less competition. It's
Right.
like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
always a good time to buy and sell real
Right.
estate. You just need to know how to position it.
And sometimes the seller can still get the highest price per square foot in the middle of December because of not having a lot of competition. So totally agree. It's like not necessarily the bad thing.
Just need more leverage.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask too, then. Are you kind of planning sort of like you're gonna do more virtual appointments then in December and January so you can maybe go to Florida or wherever you're going? Or is the idea like hire people so you can both go and do whatever you want and then it's like a well-oiled machine back here where you just check in once, okay, yeah.
Virtual, but also having people here to help.
Awesome. Chris,
So yeah, I'm a solo agent. I do commercial real estate. Market for commercial, I will say, is the worst I've seen since I've joined KW, which was 12 years ago. So it's been a little rough for me on the GCI front.
share the stats that you shared with us last week, or maybe it was a week before, on even just like the downtown buildings per square foot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's shocking when you talked about, because again, commercial and residential still function together, right? Whether we want to think yes or no. The numbers that you talked about were like, I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, so the vacancy rates downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul are still over 30%. We're the highest vacancy for all of the major metropolitan cities in the US. So the office market is terrible. A lot of the big skyscraper buildings are coming up on their mortgage renewals, and they're not able to renew because the income does not offset the debt service. They aren't hitting their debt service coverage ratios. So a lot of these owners are being forced to sell these buildings for literally pennies on the dollar. The First National Bank building in downtown St. Paul just sold for $5 a square foot. You can carpet a building for $5 a square foot right now. So
That's insane.
it's pretty incredible how bad it's gotten. And the sentiment, I'm working on a lot of investment properties right now. I've got over $20 million in listings right now, but I can't move it because people are just so anti-Minnesota right now. It's just not a good place to park your money if you're an investor. A lot of the clients I'm working with are trying to get rid of their stuff in Minnesota and move to better states, essentially, that are more business friendly. So the conversations I'm having are pretty tough because the sellers are looking back to pre-COVID numbers still on building values and what they were worth. They're just not worth that much anymore. So
And what would have that building, I mean, normally in a different market, right? What would have it?
$200-300 a square foot.
These are things we should know about, right? Like whether or not you're talking to clients, I mean, because it all affects, right? Because it affects jobs and then it affects, okay, what's going into these buildings and it affects if investors are going out. So these are really great numbers and conversations to have with someone like Royce. Because that's pretty shocking. Like those numbers are pretty shocking.
Business friendly, is that because like they had maybe certain tax breaks that ended, or like what are they talking?
I think a lot of investors who I'm talking to that have buildings here and then buildings elsewhere throughout the US, they're just tired of Minnesota being the center of attention whenever there's turmoil. I mean, we were at the heart of it during COVID. We were center of George Floyd, unfortunately. The ICE stuff this winter, it just causes a lot of disruption. Whether that's protests in the streets, I mean, that affects people going into shops and businesses. It affects people going into work. In the case, especially with a lot of building owners in the Latino communities, they just didn't have people going into work because they were afraid they were getting kicked off the streets. So it was a really tough leasing environment for most buildings throughout the Twin Cities over the winter time. And that's also impacted just ownership sentiment as well.
I just see little pockets of things that are being positively affected, like little, I don't know, like little boutique things or little small town things or those.
Yeah, I mean, the suburbs are certainly a lot stronger than the downtowns, but all the activity that I'm doing right now is in the suburbs primarily. That's where deals are getting done, but it's still tough. I mean, I had a nice manufacturing building in Long Lake. It took almost 9 months to get it under contract. It was a pretty cookie cutter type deal. Just the phones haven't been ringing. It's like all outbound activity. And when I am connecting with owners, who normally would be buying, like on the investment side, who would normally be buying these types of buildings, you look at the comps from the last 5 years. I'm calling all those owners who are buying buildings, and they're putting everything on pause right now.
So is there no sentiment then of like, this is a huge like fire sale basically? I mean, 'cause I feel like a lot of times you see the boom bust cycle and basically during the bust, a lot of people lose out, but then you kind of have those sort of bigger whales that'll come in and they'll eat everything for $5 a square foot. Because is there not enough data in terms of like population growth, U of M's going up, where there's not like a sentiment of people being like, there's still people living there, there's still going to be business, it's just a tough time right now. So you're not seeing like anyone being like, now it's cheap, this is when I want to do it, or is it just?
Yeah, there are opportunistic buyers that are focusing on this type of thing, like Hempel Real Estate is one who's bought up a lot of stuff in West End and downtown. And they're buying it at extremely low basis and they're able to make the numbers work, but just barely. I mean, they're probably not going to cash flow for 5 years and they're injecting a lot of money to make it a Class B building, a Class A building. And they're able to use that low basis to make those types of changes and attract bigger tenants. There's definitely an attraction to quality right now if you're a tenant because there's so much vacancy. So they're going to these Class A buildings that are throwing money at them to bring in the deal. I mean, there's a lot of free rent money that's going out or tenant improvement allowances that are getting thrown out to attract tenants.
What I hear you saying is if we are talking to someone and they're like, hey, I'm looking to buy a building or
Skyscraper,
or something, those would be great referrals for you because it's a good time to potentially buy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to get in there at a low basis, but you know, a lot of these sellers just aren't willing to sell them. Until they're forced to sell it, until the bank takes it back, they're not really willing to sell at those low numbers, and it's almost too late.
You saying that though, I was at Comcast the other day dropping off the Comcast box, and I sat down next to. I told you guys about this. Sat down next to this gentleman. He's like, "Hey, are you moving?" I was like, "No, are you?" Like, I was like, "I just sold an apartment." And he's actually a commercial investor. He's invested since like the 80s, right? And everything. And I felt like really smart. So I was like, oh yeah, that building is sold for $5 per square foot because Royce told me 2 weeks ago. And he was like, oh, you know a lot of it. I was like, nope. But that conversation, right, like opened up. He's actually moving all of his stuff. He's a consultant for commercial developers, but they're going down to North Carolina and these other places to develop. So it can happen where you randomly get into a conversation, right? And you can just pop up that information really quick. And then he was like, oh, I'll get in contact with you, right? So those investors are doing everything that you just said. I mean, it's a pretty big wave of movement. So, all right, we'll let you go through your numbers now. But I just think it's important to hear those because I don't know if we're always aware of what that looks like in the commercial realm.
So my goal for dials and reach outs was 108. I made 200 this last month. My goal for contacts was 35. Made 44. My appointment goal was 7. I made 3. Contracts goal was 4. I only did 1. Closed units goal was 3. I only did 1. And my GCI goal was 30,000 for the last month, and I only made 2,000. So that was just off of a little Eastern Mall. So slow month. I do have like 5.7 million under contract right now. So I anticipate that I'll have GCI coming in the next 2 months, but it's been slower for sure.
What did you guys notice about his contacts and his dials?
Up and down, yeah.
And I think that's right. He's aware of where his numbers are. He's aware of where he's behind. And so goal was X, but he exceeded with Y. And I think sometimes we don't end up doing that, right? He's aware of where the activities need to be able to increase his sales, right? So any questions on those numbers for anybody? All right. Do you guys have questions for them at all?
I have one for maybe all of you. You talk about calls, contacts. Do any of you, especially for your teams, have other lead generation goals or that your team's supposed to hit each month? Like, knock on doors, open houses, whatever, or do you just do contacts or calls?
Great question, John. Jacob's calls. Bethany?
It depends on our team. It depends on if they have two pendings or not. So if they have two pendings, the expectation of how to win on the team is lower because they're already naturally winning. So they get more team wins that way. If they don't have two pendings, the expectations are higher. Jordan on our team does at least a couple open houses a week. He's not to the point now where every open house he usually sets at least a minute. And then Alyssa gets a lot of business from Facebook. So she's in different Facebook groups for moms. So her activities actually look like engaging in those Facebook groups and connecting with those people. So we kind of tailor the metrics depending on the person's goals too. I don't have as many outbound activities right now because honestly my phone's just ringing. Because of our closings in June, 9 of them were me personally. So I'm still plenty busy without doing as much lead gen that way.
Yeah, ours are mainly, we do a lot of texting, probably our biggest thing. Facebook messaging, open houses. We don't do a ton of phone calls, but a lot of texting, emailing. Computer. And of course, yeah.
Jacob, all the people on your team, they do dials like you do dials, or do they also have their own
volume?
They're doing dials as their main.
Absolutely.
Better kind of thing.
Any other questions for them? Okay. I will go. We have such exciting numbers for the market center. I'll go over the not so great ones first. So what did we end up net -4 for last month? Net -5 for last month. We just hit 150, which I am bound and determined not to go under.
We did hold that.
But
We held that.
We held the 150. But we have, I don't know when the last time we hit 50% productivity in the market center. And that was a GPS goal for us. That was one of our 135s to get 50% of our agents in production, which is huge. Like that is a huge number. I mean, we've been kind of at that, 35 to 42 for some time. So 52 or 50% of agents in production was awesome. And probably one of the most proud numbers of this month. I mean, there's a lot of them, but I just think the more agents that we can get in production is awesome. And you're getting part of the other money in your bank account. So nice work. And then we had 24% taking listings, which was also higher than it had been. Some record breaking things for the month. Do you want to go over this? Because you're really excited about these numbers. And Heather doesn't get like super excited about a lot of things. And so like these are numbers she's really excited about.
Well, these are all-time records of the market center.
Which we now learned where we've been in business for 21 years.
21 years. We broke, I'm not talking just one record, numerous records. But I think the most exciting one, which I think we even mentioned last month, was the gross commission income, which we said thought we were going to hit 2 million. Well, we did hit 2 million at 2,231,000. I mean, wow. We paid out, that's how much GCI you guys made. And with 50% of the agents in production, that's a lot of money going to a lot of people.
That's that's a round of applause for you guys. Like that's like a big deal. Okay, that's a really big deal. That's a lot of gross commission going into your guys' pocket.
It is, and so that's just exciting. And we broke records for nearly everything. Closed units, closed volume, rent units, written volume, listing sold, and listing sold volumes. I mean, so it was the highest numbers we've ever had within those market center in all of those areas. So it was just, it was very, very exciting. Just, shattered all-time records.
Yeah, and then another awesome number was the profit share. So we were at 18,538. dollars that went back into your pocket for profit share. So that's a huge one. That's a big win for everybody. So any questions around those numbers? Nope. Okay. Then I motion for the ALC meeting to conclude for July. Okay. Do we have any other topics? We have about 20 minutes that you guys want to talk about with agents that you guys are seeing things happening. You mentioned something in the meeting this morning that I thought was, well, actually, both of you mentioned something in the meeting this morning. You mentioned something really great about inspections that I'd love for you to share. And then you mentioned something about just your clients dealing with AI. Do you two want to go over that a little bit?
Sure. Okay. We were at a meeting this morning with the top 10% agent community, and there was conversation around just challenges people are having in inspection. And terminology that I use with both my buyers and sellers is the home inspection is actually just like being a general physician. They're not an electrician, they're not a plumber, they're not a specialist. Their job is to give us a general overview of the condition of the home. They can't move things, they can't unplug things, they can't cut into walls. Then if let's say they see an issue with the electrical panel or they see an issue with something else, then we might get the specialist in, say, the electrician or whoever else to give us quote another opinion and dig into it, because I think the way that we as agents set the expectation for our clients is everything about how inspections go. So that's a conversation I have during my buyer consultation with them around, we're going to, highly recommend you get a home inspection done. Just so you know, a home inspector is probably going to find between 25 and 50 items, which you want them to find, because wouldn't you be annoyed if you spent $600, the inspector came back with 4 items? Like, there's no such thing as a perfect house, even new construction. We want all the items. There's going to be color coding to them. Reds are things that are more expensive or need to be fixed sooner. And then there's going to be maintenance items, and then there's going to be what we call our honey-do list items. And those aren't things we normally ask the seller to repair, because they're not going to repair it to the standard that you would want. Does this make sense? Then they're going into the inspection knowing they should have up to 50 items on an inspection report. That doesn't mean it's a crappy house. Knowing that we might need to get a second opinion on something, and that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Just setting that expectation up front.
And this got brought up because we were just talking about inspections are happening again, right? I mean, there was some time where inspections weren't a topic of conversation, and some people are really great at negotiating inspections, and some people just aren't experienced enough at doing it, right? So really forewarn on both sides, right? Even when you're listing a house that, hey, we don't know what buyer is going to come in here and they might find these things, right? So
That was so clear and it made perfect sense.
well, and we were talking about getting like potential, like they find all this stuff and getting sued, or the inspector should fund this, and this. And so I think the general practitioner portion is just such a great explanation. So wanted to share that, and then go over the AI stuff, and then we'll get you some time back on here. Oh yeah.
Really quick question.
Yeah.
In that conversation during your buyer broker meeting, do you have it again right before the inspection?
Depends. So actually a really great example is when Ben was talking about AI earlier today, I was thinking, yeah, AI is kind of like the new dad on the inspection. Like truly, when I got into the industry 15 years ago, like dads would come on inspections and it was just like, oh man, here we go. Because, they think they can fix everything and they know everything. And so I actually did have a dad come on an inspection recently, and I re-gave my spiel because dad had never heard it. And dad actually was funny. Dad's like, this is quite the fixer-upper. And I just kept my mouth shut because it was not a fixer-upper. It just needed a new HVAC system. We can handle that. We can negotiate that. But until the client looked at me and said, Bethany, what do you think? And I said respectfully, I disagree. It's not a fixer-upper. Let's talk through all the great things that we just found out about the house. Like everything's maintenance free. It has gutters. There's no history of water damage, all these things. Yes, it needs an HVAC, but that's what I'm here for. And now we're going to negotiate that into the transaction. So, because Ironically, the HVAC system was older than I am. Like it was like the oldest HVAC system I've ever seen. So, and it wasn't clearly communicated that way. The listing agent on the other side lacked experience. So she said, when I asked why did the previous transaction fall apart, she told me the buyer wanted new appliances. She meant mechanical.
Same.
So, but here's the great part about that. I already knew it fell apart now. And now I understood why it fell apart the first time. And now I could just coach that agent through, okay, here's the deal. You guys don't want to go back on the market again. Like, let's work on this and let's get it built into the transaction together. So.
And you should probably transfer to Keller Williams to learn out what appliances and chemicals are. But other than that.
Well, and the thing is, I double checked it because I was like, did I misunderstand? Like, I honestly questioned myself first. And then I called her and I was like, can you remind me, what was the issue? She goes, the appliances. And I go, like the kitchen appliances? Like, I had to like dig deeper to have that conversation with her, but
the heating ones. Heating appliances.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback off of that, yes, I'd say we do the same in a sense that we are sharing a console. It's included in the email once we're under contract. That whole script that was said at the console is in the email. And then once we're there for that recap, we typically try and share that right at the front end again. So now they've heard that 3 times. It's now very, like, once we hear a big laundry list, it's very easy for them to be like, yep, I knew this was coming.
Well, and I would also say too, one thing that I look for and I counter on almost every listing of mine right now, and then I'm writing my buyers because a lot of our buyers on our team are still, we're still help a lot of first time home buyers, or we're helping a lot of move-up buyers. So sometimes they have a contingency to sell and like, they're just not honestly the golden child buyer usually. So we'll put in there like, hey, and I have this conversation with them of let's make you look like less of a risk to a seller because a seller's greatest fear is that you're going to back out. Make you look like less of a risk. Why don't we put in here that you are okay, not asking for any repairs that cost more than, or cost less than, sorry, is what I meant, cost less than $2,000. And I'll explain to them, like, we already know the water heater is from this age, so your biggest risk is a water heater, possibly. But that's going to cover roof, major items, you know, all of that would still be included. And that's how we've been able to put it in multiple. And honestly, it helps you as the buyer's agent. You're not dealing with dad thinks there should be a smoke detector. Like, I can have my hand against it.
You also don't wait for the inspection to point things out. On a showing, you're pointing out things that will pop up on the inspection. Probably looked at the permit histories. They know the age of the chemicals going into the showing. So there's things that you can do to prepare yourself before you even show the home, before you're even under contract. And then they're even that much more aware that they're probably going to show up on it.
We warn at our that we are going to the house showing. Like, we're going to point out all the negative things. So like really it makes the inspection so easy. Like we've already like destroyed the house in the sense that there's not many major things that I like to think that they're finding at the inspection that aren't deal breakers that they didn't already see.
Any other questions? Well, this kind of goes into your AI thing because we were talking about that's like your biggest, that's like the new,
Right.
the new dad. AI is the new dad, the new dad at the inspection or anything else.
Like they're using AI as their confidant of like any question as if it's their best friend and person that they trust, you know, so it's just a matter of like a little bit of the inspection report into AI and ask it, what should I ask the seller to do with this report? And it's like, wow, they put together just a crazy list of what they're gonna ask for, right? So it's just a matter of staying the leader and making sure that now setting an expectation at buyer console of if they bring up AI or there's the questions they're asking seem to be AI target that conversation.
Well, and let's be very clear, depending on what you put in to AI is what you get out. So if you're a buyer that's like, what should I ask the seller after this inspection, right? You're going to get every single thing that was called out on the inspection. If you have a better prompt, that, that's like, what are hazardous, safety, well, you're gonna get a whole different answer. So to your point, popping that in with a few different prompts so that you're aware of what they're gonna come at you with on that phone call already takes all of that questioning out of it, right? Well, AI said that I should ask for this.
And it's like also use it to your advantage for throwing your CIC docs in there and ask whatever questions you want of it. Learn a lot real quick. I wouldn't miss for like miss things. It still doesn't get proper.
Well, you said that you use it as like our rentals, can you do rentals? Are there dogs? Like, what is are pets allowed? And I mean, it's a pretty quick read when you throw it in there. Any questions around that?
Another inspection question.
Yeah.
I had a deal fall apart last month due to an inspection. And the listing agent had said that there were 2 bathrooms. And essentially the downstairs bathroom was just kind of like a faux bathroom. They had gotten a bathtub on Wayfair and set it over the drain. No actual plumbing in it. The sink was actually just one of those plug and play kinds of things.
Wait, sorry, there's a plug and play thing?
We got all kinds of beautiful
Barbie house?
That's exactly what it looked like. And so I was trying to explain to my buyer that, yes, it's really only essentially a 1 bathroom. Of course, they were having a conniption fit over the whole thing. And we ended up backing out because it wasn't actually a 2 bathroom. But in regards to that, the listing agent, then I sent the entire inspection report and said, here it is, take a look at it. And they weren't willing to come down on price based upon the actual comps. So we've backed out. However, the listing agent went ahead and left the listing as it was and sold the house again. Even though they had the report of the fact that, oh, this is not actually a bathroom.
What? There was no tube connecting the bathtub to the drain? I'm still stuck on that.
And so I'm just trying to question, like, I don't think I have any due diligence to go back to that listing agent and say, hey, your list was wrong. But it is kind of one of those things, like, I'm assuming that when a listing is on and they have to meet certain criteria.
What do you know what the MLS rule is on that? Like, I mean, because I know people put like the standing free toilet as a quarter bath, but like
I've done that, but it's hooked up.
what is the require? Like,
I wouldn't say there's a standard. I say a lot of people protect themselves with the information is deemed reliable but not guaranteed.
got it.
So again, to your point, it is not your responsibility to call out everybody. I will tell you in scenarios like this, because of meetings like this, that if you learn of something like that and you learn of one of our agents actually maybe writing on that, you do talk to our agent then and share what you know to assist our colleague. But again, in these scenarios, it's really up to, I don't want to even say, because there's some agents and or brokerages that won't necessarily really do the right thing. But it's tough to police it. And that's part of the reason why that statement's on all your MLSs, just to, if someone wants to further do due diligence, certainly they can.
Even if he said he had no knowledge of that bathroom being a fake bathroom down there. So, but after giving him the report, he now has the knowledge.
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't lift up a bathtub when I'm listing a house, right? You would think it's actually hooked up, but like
sideways, and you're like, oh, that looks a little weird. I mean, even to me, it looked weird, which is why we kind of wiggled things around.
Seller's disclosure statement. The full seller's disclosure.
Full seller's, yeah.
Did they say if work had been done that was not permitted?
Did not say.
Because that's where I would have pointed it out. I would have said I would have asked the question, did your seller put this bathroom in? And then I'd go check the permit history. Well, there's not going to be a bathroom. There's not going to be a plumbing permit because nothing's hooked up. And then I would go back and to me, it's actually a disclosure issue that way is how I would have addressed it. I'll shoot it super straight with you. I would have ripped you a new one for sending me an inspection report when I didn't ask for it.
I would ask for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. But then So Heather, then I would agree
Oh,
that he had an obligation to disclose that that was,
At least to the second buyer.
I would have never guessed.
Well,
I
at
also
least
think
to,
I would have caught if.
at least to inspectors, because even all inspectors, whatever they say, share and have in their report is their opinion. Right? So one, in this case, that agent should have actually gone to inspect, is there truly an issue and maybe it's not hooked up? Then actually consult with their seller to say, on your disclosure, you actually checked this or you filled this out. Did you understand that you don't have a, legal bathroom in the basement? Therefore, we need to actually amend our disclosure. We need to actually consult and tell parties. And then if they further want to do a better job, this is the agents, let's get another contractor and or plumber out here to actually verify for us, what do we have down there in the basement? That's what all needs to happen.
The other thing you could have done, Heather, if you wanted to, I've dealt with crazy listings, like never that, but some crazy stuff where, and sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, because the listing needs to know it's me, but sometimes I'll report it in MLS and just say like, they're not 4 legal bedrooms, they're 3, or, something like that. That's more like, I just care about the integrity of comparables and everything else, and I care about the integrity of our industry, but I'm also not trying to burn bridges with a bunch of listing agents either.
That was my balance online. I'm like, oh, I don't know which one. I did.
But the seller's disclosure is where I would have pushed back. And most most cities, their permit process is super easy to look up online. So like to Jess's point, we train our agents to look at that. Same with our listing. Because
What city was that in?
yeah, St. Paul is
Like, yeah, it was like Minneapolis have been all over that. They're like, your GFCI is wrong, your backup whatever is wrong, your backflow, like, tub's not, tub's not hooked up.
It just wasn't.
All right, we, hopefully you got something out of that meeting. There was a lot of really, really good information that was shared, whether it was their numbers, commercial stuff, inspection, AI. We have about 3 minutes. So if you guys have any coming soon or, buyer needs, new listings coming up, let's share those now. If you don't share them now during this time, send them to Lydia and she will get those out in the wants and needs, email this afternoon. What do we got?